So this is a follow-up to the Using GitHub for this class video. And what I'm going to do in this video is go through a simple method for managing the course and local files. So the primary issue that we have here is that the course files will be updated throughout the semester as I add more material and edit the material that's there. And at the same time, you'll be editing and augmenting files locally. And so there's potential for file collisions and overwriting of files in this process. Now, if you're comfortable managing this on your own, managing different files and different versions of files, then by all means you should do that, and that'll be fine. If you're not comfortable, or if you don't even know what I'm talking about, then what you should do is watch the video where I'm going to go through a suggested configuration process that'll work for the class. So the files for the class, or a large set of the files, as we've talked about, are going to be stored in GitHub. And so this is a basic view of our repository where we have a directory with a set of notebooks and a set of data files. And within the notebook folder, we have the course notebooks. So in particular, if you look at these notebooks, here's the one that I added in class, in our most recent class, the in-class work Jupyter Notebook. And so if you want to download this, again, assuming we're not going to use Git, we can just clone or download, and as you know from the previous video, then download the zip file and expand into your local directory. So let's look at a work scenario here. So let me just close this, and I'm going to open up Anaconda. So I'm going to go navigate to where I store the GitHub directory, the GitHub repository, I mean. So I have a batch file that'll start it, and now I want to start Jupyter Notebook right there. Jupyter Notebook. And so what's going to come up is my local access through Jupyter to the repository for the course. So I've downloaded this, and now I'm going to look at it. So if you just go to the in-class work, the one I did in class last time, one quick note, if you're paying attention, is I added one little thing here. I added this 11 because we didn't have a chance to do it in class. So that's new, but everything else is the same. So suppose I have this, and then I go into anything and make a change. So, some more text. For example, hit Shift Enter to save that, and I look at it, and I'm satisfied with what I do. And so now I save the file. Okay, and so now we have a local version of that file. And so I have the repository version on GitHub, and now I have the local version on my computer, which has been edited. The problem comes when I, in class, make changes to the in-class workbook and then update on GitHub, and then you go and retrieve that. Then you are going to overwrite the changes that you made unless you explicitly manage that. And so there are a whole bunch of ways that you can manage this, including using Git itself. And I'm going to present a very simple way. However, you should use whatever method you're comfortable with. The way I'm going to propose is just the simplest way if you're not comfortable using Git or managing this on your own. And so if you are comfortable, then you might as well skip the rest of this video. One quick note here, you'll notice that the GitHub directory or the GitHub site also gives you the last time of editing for all of the or the last commit time, which is essentially the last editing time for all of the files. And so when you look here, you can see these are the two new ones, the ones that have been edited. I edited the in-class workbook 12 hours ago from the time of making this video anyway, and I added a new file here 13 hours ago. And so you can use those file commit times if you want to go through a file-by-file way to manage the system. The way I'm going to propose is by having a base directory and having two subdirectories, one for course files and one for local files. In my directory, I chose to put this, or in my system, I chose to put this under the documents directory. You can actually put it wherever you want. You can name it whatever you want. It doesn't have to be an ISY 6500, and the two subdirectories don't have to be named this. You can name them whatever you like. The key here is that we know what the directory, the baseline directory is, class, and we have two separate directories. One to store the GitHub files, or the course files, that are going to be periodically updated whenever you download a new version. And then the local files, which is where you store your the files that you create locally, or the files that you copy over from the course directory and then do some sort of editing. And the reason we have those in one common directory is to support using Jupyter in one session to be able to access both sets of files. Our process is going to be pretty straightforward. What I'm going to do for the rest of the video is I'm going to create the base directory, the subdirectories, and then download and unzip the files from GitHub, create a local file, and then save a course file as a local file for editing. So I'm going to go get my Windows File Explorer and decide where I want to put it. As I mentioned, I'm going to put mine in the Documents directory. It doesn't matter where you put it as long as you remember where you put it. So I'm just going to go and say create a new folder, call it INSY6500. Then I'm going to open that folder and add my two subdirectories. The first one is going to be local files, and the second is going to be course files. Course files. So now I have that directory structure. If I go over here on this left side window, and you can see there's the directory structure that I have illustrated in the slide. And so that's step 1 and 2. Third step is download from GitHub. So let me go back to my Edge, Microsoft Edge, my browser. And so here we are. I'm at the site for the course, and I'm just going to clone or download. And what I want to do is download a zip, just like we did in the previous video. Again, I'm using Edge. If you're using Chrome, it'll look slightly different. I'm going to open the file. And so there's my Infotech for Ops Master. I'm just going to open that and then grab the files that are in that directory. So I'm just going to copy those and then paste those directly into my course folder that I just created. So there's my documents, INSY6500, course files, and then paste those in just like that. So now when I go back to my 6500, I still have course files and local files. Of course, local files is still empty. And I go to course files, and there is the download from Git. So if I want to open that in Jupyter, let me jump over here and close my current session. So just Control C 3 times and go back. And so here's my documents directory. And just change directory to INSY6500, the base directory that I just created. Just do a dir, and now you can see the course files and local files. If you're interested, you can also use the tree command, and it will show you the actual directory structure. And so when I say start Jupyter here, this is exactly what I mean. Start in this baseline directory. And when I do that, that means Jupyter is going to have access to both of these subdirectories. Okay, so we're going to do Jupyter Notebook. And now we can see my course files and my local files directory. If I want to create a local file, I just go to that directory, say create a new one. Let's do new Python 3. Here's my, let's just call it new notebook. Rename, print, hello world. And there we go. And then I'm going to save that. And now if I go back and look in my File Explorer, and I go back to INSY6500, local files, there it is. There's the notebook that I just created. If I then go from home and go up to up one directory structure level, and then go to course files, now I have these two subdirectories here, notebooks, and here's the in-class work that I just downloaded, right? And so note it doesn't have that update that I did in the previous one because I never put that back in GitHub, right? And so this is the original version. Okay, and so you can see these, you can edit these all you like, but in this basic configuration, the idea is that when you want to update from GitHub, you just overwrite all the files in the course directory, in the course files directory with the new stuff. So as long as you haven't edited anything, then you'll have complete access to the new version. And then you store everything locally that you either create newly or you want to edit. So if I wanted to go, oops, that's not where I wanted to go. If I wanted to actually edit and keep the course file, right, then I could just go in the course file notebook, grab that same in-class workbook and just copy it. So I'm going to get the file, go back to local files, and then paste right here. So now I've pasted a copy in my local files directory. So if I close that one, go back to home. Oops, is that? Let's see. Where am I here? Go back to local files. There's my in-class work. And so now I have a copy of it that I can edit as much as I want and keep it. And so when I then download the new version from GitHub, once I've edited them in class, you will still have this version that has your edits. Now you still will have to maintain or keep in mind the fact that you have two different copies of this file. One of them has edits and the other one, is pristine or downloaded from GitHub. But that's going to be easier for you to manage if you get in the mindset that I only download into the courses directory and I only edit in the local files directory. That's going to make it a lot easier for you to manage the process. And so as I said, that's just one possible way of doing this management. I think the most robust way to do it is to actually use Git, to use the Git functionality of creating a repository and merging and committing and so on. But there's a lot of overhead with that. You have to learn how to work with it. You have to understand the Git process flow and all of that. And while that might be worthwhile in the long term and for other projects, it's unnecessary for this class. If that's something you're interested in doing, however, contact me and I would be happy to direct you to some further resources.